Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing great today. It's another Monday, and for today, our discussion will focus on telephone etiquette. So, telephone is actually one of the basic communication gadgets that we have in the office. Whether it's the traditional phone that we have, like what we see on screen, or the Avaya, which are commonly used among call centers and bigger industries and offices, or the common cell phone or mobile phone, whether it's Android or iPhone or whatever model you have of phone, it is still vital form of communication in the office. This brings a lot of business to us. This bridges communication among clients and business owners. So it is very important for us to manifest good etiquette and professional behavior on the phone. My name is Coach Leah Madrid, and this will be our lesson for today. First off, you have to answer the call promptly and with a smile. Promptly means immediately. You don't want your customers or the other person on the other line to wait forever, because that would imply that either you are not interested or you don't know how to answer the phone, or probably your business is closed and there's no one in the office to answer the phone. But if you answer it immediately, then that gives the customer or the person on the other line an implication that you are interested and you are excited to hear from them. Now, there may be instances when you are not able to answer the phone immediately because you're not probably wearing your headset 100% of the time in the office, or you're probably in another desk or in another room. The threshold for this one is within 3 rings, you should be able to answer the phone. That is the acceptable threshold for you to not be tagged as delayed response. Remember, a delayed response means delayed business. So it could mean delayed profit, or worse, it could even mean great loss to your company. So make sure that you answer that phone call immediately. Now, since you are showing great interest and enthusiasm in talking to your customer by answering it immediately, I suggest that your customer or client should always hear that smile on your face when you answer the phone. Hey, you're probably asking, how could someone on the other line hear my smile? It's simple. You just have to project a good tone and a professional opening spiel, which we will discuss later on. After answering the phone and saying hello, you have to introduce yourself and do branding. Branding is telling the name of your company and that you are a representative of that company you're working for. Remember that the reason it's called branding is because the person on the other line would most likely remember your company and not you as a person. Therefore, you have to make sure that you are projecting a good image of your company by staying friendly and answering the phone in a very friendly manner. You also have to speak clearly. And as I mentioned, you have to use a professionally polite tone of voice. Speak clearly means the person on the other line should understand what you're saying. And you should be conscious about your tone, not like you are sleepy or you are not wanting to answer the phone. Let me give you an example. Now, I also said that you have to be professionally polite. There are other people who are overly courteous and it's not graceful anymore. So when you say overly courteous or polite, which is unpleasant, ay, opo ma'am sir. Kasi po ma'am sir, opo, opo. You know, when you repeatedly say opo, opo, ma'am sir, by answering the phone, you should know that the person is a ma'am or a sir because of the quality of the voice of the person you're talking to. So you should refrain from using ma'am, sir. That's being overly sarcastically polite. Now, here's a good example of that one. Ring, ring. Thank you for calling. This is Leia Madrid from St. Camillus. How may I help you today? There you go. That's my example of my opening spiel. Let me hear yours during our live session. Also, I want you to remember that when a client calls you, that means that the client is actually calling the institution you're working for. He is calling your office and not really personally calling you. So, mind you, you should always remember that it is a business call and not a personal call. That alone would dictate the kind of tone that you will use. So, I also suggest you do not overly do your smile, not like you're overly excited, just enough for the person to realize that you want the business. So you don't usually say, "Hello, this is Leia Madrid." Yeah, there's a smile on your face, but that's overly enthusiastic. And I guess the person on the other line would misinterpret your tone as if the person has reached a wrong number and not the business phone number that he's really trying to call. Okay? Also, avoid using speakerphone. You know, there are instances when we are actually tempted to use the speaker on the phone because we are doing multitasking. This is so sometimes you can hear the person talking on the other line while you are doing your typing. But that should not be the case. Why should we avoid the speaker phone? It's because your other office mates do not need to hear your conversation. And it could be annoying also. Remember that people inside the office are also busy. They have their own tasks to accomplish, and hearing your conversation with the other person on the line is not part of their business. And of course, you know, the person you're talking to, the client on the other line, is not aware that other people can hear her. So she might be uttering words that are not meant for other people in your office to be heard. But since she is on speakerphone, this could be humiliating for the client. So look at this one. Why didn't someone tell me I was on speakerphone? Like everybody else can hear me and you didn't inform me. Oops, that's quite bad. But there is an exception. I said here, unless it is necessary. Of course, if you are doing a conference call and there are other people who need to hear the other people on the line, then maybe that's the appropriate time to use a speakerphone. Next, of course, is that you have to actively listen and take notes of the important details that the client is telling you about. Make sure that you capture the important points of the message. For example, the person is looking for another person in the office. So you may want to ask for a callback number. You may want to ask for the full name of the person you're talking to and when would be the best time for him to call, or when would be the best time for the person to call him back. These are basic things that you need to take notes of. Also, when we say active listening, the other person should hear your verbal nods like, yes, I understand. Uh huh. Okay. This means that you are agreeing or you are confirming that you have heard what the person is saying. You have to remember the importance of verbal nods. This keeps the person on the other line talking while realizing that you are still listening. You should not allow the other person to do a monologue and stop thinking if there was anybody listening on your line. Therefore, you should always make that nod something that the other person can hear. So you can say, yes, I understand. And you have to be sincere. You don't just say those verbal nods to do it for compliance, but you have to really mean it. So when you say that is noted, you have to make sure that you really took note of that detail. You don't just say, yes, okay, uh-huh. You see, you don't see my face, but you can hear from the tone of my voice if I am interested, if I am sincere, or if I am really listening to the other person. So you can say, yes, ma'am, I took note of that. Thank you so much for the information. Things like those. Now, you have to remember also that since this is a business call that we are conducting, you have to remain professional, use proper language, you don't use slang, and you have to remain cheerful. Look at this telephone model that I have here on this slide. Take note that this is something which is probably used during the era of our grandparents or probably your great grandparents. I'm not even sure if you have seen this one in real life or probably displayed in a museum. But the reason I put it here is because this woman doesn't know or is not sure if the person she's talking to is someone who is older, who needs additional, maybe patience, respect, or probably needs a bit slower pacing in terms of talking so that the other person can hear. So you also have to adjust your pace, your volume, your tone, and definitely use proper language. Something that would be understood not just by millennials, but something that can be understood by anyone in the business. So you don't just say, ma'am, BRB, because the other person might not realize that you mean I'll be right back. Now you have to remain cheerful and smiling like this lady. Like what I told you in the first slide, the person on the other line has to hear that smile on your face. Remaining cheerful doesn't mean you have to be positive all the time. You just have to be genuine. So, for example, the other person told you, yes, I got COVID. And you should never, ever say, oh, that's great. Hey, are you really listening? Because when you say that's great, the other person just told you she had COVID. It's a dreadful disease. But my coach Leah told me to remain cheerful. Guys, you have to be appropriate in your responses. So, learning how to respond to these negative messages is also an advantage in knowing how to answer the phone in a professional way. So, when the person on the other line tells you that he caught COVID 19, you could probably say, "I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. I hope you get well soon." Instead of saying, "That's great." You see, I still remained positive. I still remained professional, but I was able to address and empathize with the person's concern of having COVID 19. Now, there are instances when we need to put the person on hold during the call. Well, this is something that we should avoid. But there are instances when we do not have the information that we need readily accessible while we are talking to the person. And we may need to put the client on hold while we focus on finding the information that they need. Or probably we need to transfer the call to another department or to another person in the office. So we are putting the client on hold. Hey, there is a proper procedure to that. First, you have to ask permission to the person. You can say, "May I put you on hold?" And then you have to set the expectations. You have to tell your client how many minutes or how long would you be putting him on hold. The maximum is 2 minutes, but you don't want that 2 minutes to be maximized. You have to get back to your customer as soon as you can. So you can say, "Miss Reyes, may I put you on hold for 1 to 2 minutes?" And you have to go back as promised. Make sure that you really go back after 2 minutes. After putting the customer on hold and you are finally back with your customer and you resume the conversation, make sure that you always thank the customer for the time that he spent waiting on hold for you. Be mindful of your tone and volume. As I mentioned earlier, you have to tune your tone. Understanding tone and its impact on conversation is very important. Remember that the person on the other line could not see your facial expressions, could not see your gestures, and could not see you in person as a whole. If you are standing or sitting or whatever posture that you have. But what they can hear is your tone, your volume, your pace, and your voice. So this is very important. Let me give you an example. I will read a sentence with a monotone voice at first, and then I will read it in different tones, volume, and intonation for the second, third, fourth, and fifth time. Now tell me, you can put on the comment box what I mean or what you understand by the sentence that I am reading. Remember that you cannot see my face in this slide presentation, but I want you to feel and interpret the message. On a monotone, I did not say I saw a criminal. Now, here's the second version. Feel free to put in the comment box what you think of the second statement. I did not say I saw a criminal. Put it in the comment box. The third time I'm reading it, I did not say I saw a criminal. Put your comments. For the fourth time, I will read it again in a different tone. I did not say I saw a criminal. And lastly, for the fifth time, I want you to put in the comment box what you think is the message of this sentence. I did not say I saw a criminal. There you go. Now I am excited to give you my feedback. I hope this exercise is effective for you. Now, don't forget to keep it short and simple for your closing spiel because the customer is probably eager to put down the phone because she has already spent some time talking to you. And that's precious time for the customer. So just say thank you and express a genuine eagerness to talk to the person again for business. So you can say, thank you so much for calling St. Camillus. I hope you have a great day. There you go. So I hope you learned something in this session. I am excited to read on your comments and please feel free to subscribe in my channel. See you again next time.